I was born in 1951 and graduated from college in 1973. It was the year of the famed Arab oil embargo. To buy gas, you waited in lines and paid far more than you did previously. The economy went into recession. It was harder for me to find a job. I wanted to work for Disney in Orlando, and they feared people could not buy gas to drive there. I recently saw a video about the demise of the Howard Johnson's restaurant chain. With a larger menu, it was something like McDonald's before McDonald's became huge. They thrived on tourist highway traffic. The Arab oil embargo hit them at a difficult time. They closed many of their stores, and they never recovered. The auto industry in Detroit suffered profoundly from a huge inventory of big cars, and the factories tooled to make them. Their attempt at small cars was horrible. I owned a Chevrolet Vega. It rusted so badly the windshield wipers fell off. Not long thereafter, I bought a Honda and have been driving Hondas ever since. The Honda Odyssey I drive now is 23 years old. The United States is far more energy independent today, but not so independent our gas prices are independent of the impact of the closing of the Strait of Hormuz. You can expect that the longer the strait is closed, or significantly slowed, the higher our prices will go. This could result in greater interest in electric cars. Big SUVs could wind up unsold. The Arab oil embargo of 1973 set off a trend toward the worst inflation in my lifetime. In 1972, inflation was 3.4%. In 1973, it was 8.7%. And in 1974, it rose to 12.3%. As late as 1979, it was 13.3%. Gas prices never returned to what they were in 1972. Should the war on Iran end today, the impact of the few weeks we have seen so far will still be long-lasting. We started a war that is having a horrible impact on the Arab countries of the Middle East that we consider allies. We've demonstrated a total inability to protect them, even with multiple military bases and untold billions in military hardware. Our Navy has to sit far from shore to avoid being destroyed. The inflation of the 1970s was not entirely due to the Arab oil embargo. Much of it resulted from Richard Nixon taking gold backing away from the dollar. The new monetary backing scheme became the petrodollar. We would provide military protection for Middle East oil producers in exchange for them agreeing to sell their oil only using American dollars. Now it looks as if American military protection is more a liability than a benefit. Nations come under attack because they have American bases. This is more significant than a possible boost in electric car sales. If the petrodollar is as good as dead, what comes next? Could this war be part of a plan to transform the monetary system? What comes next will have an impact on the daily lives of Americans. Our federal debt has been funded in part by other nations holding inflating dollars in order to buy Middle East gas. With fewer nations needing dollars, more of our debt must be covered by Americans. This monetary change is something that will play out over a decade. much like the impact of the Arab oil embargo. Add to this the cost of the war just undertaken. The Pentagon is already asking for $200 billion more to cover the cost of starting this war. Israel is being battered and will come asking for additional billions. Congressmen will have to choose between helping Americans battered by inflation and recession or helping rebuild Israel and its military. The popularity of Israel is dropping rapidly. AIPAC is now trying to hide the support it's giving to candidates who will choose Israel over Americans. Republicans have good reason to fear losing the House and the Senate. Donald Trump could be impeached and convicted. Iran will want some guarantees they will not be attacked again. Being realistic, no such guarantee can be given as long as Israel exists. Thus, we are likely to be in for a long war where both Israel and Iran feel total victory is required to survive. The United States is now in a position like in Vietnam. If it stays, they remain in the middle of a long, ugly stalemate. If they leave, Israel is hopeless against Iran, short of using nuclear weapons. Donald Trump ignored advice from people like Jeff Kent and Tucker Carlson, and took the advice of Benjamin Netanyahu and the Zionists who surround him. February 28th kicked off a political and economic avalanche. You cannot say, "Oops, sorry," and stop it. It's coming down the mountain. The question now is, what will the landscape look like when the avalanche finishes altering the global landscape? It appears that any faith in the United States being dominant in the world will be shattered. We may have the world's most expensive military, but we will have been defeated by Vietnam, Afghanistan, and now Iran. With the Europeans, we will have failed in Ukraine as well. Our World War II victory will look like the North's victory in the Civil War. Each was a victory in a different age with different styles of warfare. Modern warfare enables Iran to attack Israel and American bases without a single plane being shot down and the pilot sent to a POW camp. Aircraft carriers are no longer attacked by waves of piloted planes. Just as significant is the change in propaganda wars. In the past, nations could limit the content of media to glorify themselves and present their opponents as demonic. Now Americans can daily see spokesmen from Iran presenting their views about the war. Tucker Carlson can go interview Vladimir Putin. Many millions of Americans can get views opposed to the war. This is why the Vietnam War ended. Americans grew to hate what they were seeing on the news. The war lost political support, and Lyndon Johnson halted his 1968 political campaign, knowing he would lose. So what will the world look like when the avalanche comes to a rest? The United States will remain a world power, but will be one of several. It will not be dominant in a military or monetary sense. It will compete with other nations in trade. It has a huge advantage in geography and natural resources. It can be energy independent. It has a large lead in many technologies and is competitive in others. What it needs most is morality. It needs to be respected by others as an example and not as a bully. This is actually a golden opportunity to shed the American bully image. Donald Trump ran for office seeking an American golden age. Such a thing is possible, but only if we denounce those who want us to remain the world's biggest bully. Sadly, Donald Trump could not resist playing the bully one last time before it became clear that military spending is not a guarantee of military victory. Strutting around like your Goliath does not bring victory when a much smaller opponent has tools for the next generation of warfare. The American dollar contains the wording, "In God we trust." When the avalanche we started comes to rest, will we return to trust in God? Will we behave like a nation the world can love? Will we use the astounding resources of the nation for good instead of evil? When the avalanche comes to rest, there will be great destruction. Many lives will have been lost, as well as trillions of dollars of wealth. But we can rebuild. May we rebuild with God's wisdom and not man's.